The question says find the inverse of this matrix. So we have two given set of matrices. Okay, matrix T. So let us call this matrix A. Okay, so how do we determine the inverse of this matrix? Solution. Okay, so for matrix T, we have it as -2, -5, we have 3, we have this as 8. Okay, so to determine the inverse of a matrix, we have to follow 3 steps. The steps are: 1, we determine the determinant of such matrix. Okay, determinant of the given matrix. Okay, the next thing we do, we look for the adjoint. Okay, the third one is we look for the inverse of the given matrix. Okay, so we determine the determinant, the adjoint, finally we look for the inverse. Okay, so for matrix T, which is a 2 by 2 matrix, we have 2 rows: row 1, row 2. Okay, we have 2 column 1, column 2. So it's a 2 by 2 matrix. So what do we do? Let us determine the determinant of this matrix. So for the determinant of T, okay, so what do? We multiply the numbers in the diagonal. So this is the leading diagonal. So we have this as -2 times 8, okay, minus, so we multiply this together. So when we say -5 times 3, okay, so for -2 times 8 is -16, minus, so for -5 times 3, we have the -15, times this, we have this +15. Okay, so that means we have -16 plus 15, that is -1, which represents our determinant. Okay, so let's look for the adjoint of this same matrix. So for matrix T, which is the adjoint, okay, so what do we do? So let us repeat back what we have here. We have -2, -5, we have 3, we have 8. Okay, so the adjoint of this will be, when we look at the leading diagonal, so what do? We just have to interchange the numbers. So for -2, it is coming here, so we have 8, -2 is coming here. Okay, and for the other diagonal, we interchange the sign. So for -5, it turns to +5. Okay, for +3, it turns to -3. That is the adjoint. Okay, lastly, we look for the inverse of the matrix. Okay, so for inverse of matrix T, we have it as 1 over the determinant of this matrix of T. Okay, we multiply it by the adjoint of the matrix. We have this as 1 over determinant of matrix T, okay, is -1. Okay, so we multiply it by the adjoint, which is 8, 5, -3, -2. Okay, so when we do that, from 1 divided by -1 is -1. Okay, so we are multiplying it by the adjoint, okay, which is this. So when we open up, we have -1 times 8, -8. Okay, so -1 times -5 is -5, -1 times -3 is 3, -1 times 2, we have it to be 2. Okay, so this represents the inverse, okay, of matrix T. So for the inverse of matrix T, we have it to be -8, -5, 3, and 2. So for the second question, we have to determine the inverse of A, of matrix A. So how do we do that? Using the same steps. So we have the first step is to figure out the determinant. So we have matrix A, okay, to be 8, -6, -7, and 5. Okay, so let us determine the determinants of matrix A. Okay, so to do that, we multiply the diagonal. So we have 8 times 5 minus, for minus 7 times minus 6, we have this as plus 42. So for the determinant of A, we have 8 times 5 to be 40 minus 42. Okay, so we have the determinant, okay, to be minus 2. So the next thing is to determine the adjoint. So for the adjoint of matrix A, so we have to interswitch the position. Okay, so we have this as 5, we have this as 8. Okay, and for the other diagonal, we look for the opposite of the signs. So for minus 7, we have it as plus 7, and for minus 6, we have it as plus 6. Okay, for the adjoint. So the inverse, we have it as 1 over, so the determinant of A is given as minus 2. Okay, so multiplied by the adjoint, which is 5, 7, 6, 8. So we open up. So by multiplying this with each numbers in the bracket, so we have the first one to be minus 1 over 2 times 5. Okay, so we take it as well, we multiply it with this, so we have minus 1 over 2 times 7. Okay, so we take this, we have minus 1 over 2 times 6. Okay, using the same minus 1 over 2 times 8. Okay, so our final answer, which is 8 A inverse. So when we open up, we have this as minus 5 over 2. Okay, this one we can simplify this. We have this as minus 1 times 6 is 6 divided, so we have it as minus 3. Okay, so this is minus 7 over 2. Okay, so for minus 1 over 2 times 8. Okay, so we have this as, when we simplify this, we have this as minus 4. So this represents the inverse of matrix A. Okay, so we do that by getting the determinants. Okay, we look for the adjoint. Okay, and we determine the inverse. Okay, which is this. Thank you very much.